CH10, station for excellence.
Are you in search of a serene environment to build either for residential or commercial purposes? Then, ENGR Prosperity Estate is the best choice for you. ENGR Prosperity Estate is located at Primate Ayodele Crescent, Okafa, Isolo, Lagos. It's a 5-minute drive to Agor Roundabout, Okota, 10 minutes drive to Sele Okota Link Bridge, and a 5-minute drive to Ajawo Estate with good road network and constant power supply. For inquiries, please call 08033 021220. ENGR Prosperity Estate is peaceful and secure.
Movies, cartoon and live talk show. Bad choice, don't go for nothing less. Station for excellence. NTA10 station for excellence.
NTA10, station for excellence.
The year 2023 is no doubt a year of elections, and activities leading to the general elections will commence soon. Now, while some are preparing for general elections, there are some states who are actually preparing for their own governorship elections. Now, Democracy Watch today is bringing its searchlight on one of such political juggernauts who is actually flagging off and actually flagged off his campaign, and it's already trending on social media. And we have that political juggernaut right here with us on Democracy Watch. We'll be right back after this time. I am Musa Toliat, your host for the program. Thank you for staying tuned with us. This is still Democracy Watch, a political program specifically designed to bring to your doorstep political activities, stewardship feedback, as well as government do that. My guest today is a certified chemical engineer and a former governor of EKITI State. I have the pleasure of welcoming His Excellency and former governor of EKITI State, Engineer OLUSEGUN to Democracy Watch. Well, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
And let me also inform the viewers that he is not just a chemical engineer, he also has passion for teaching. He was a consummate classroom teacher too, right? I'm right, sir?
Well, I don't know whether it's consummate, but that's where I started my life.
And you started early in teaching?
Primary school teacher. I was a teacher at the age of 17. So that's where I started life. And I spent a few years, but I have continued to be a fan of teaching.
Okay, sir, let's take a look at the passion you had earlier was teaching, and then you left teaching for chemical engineering. What informed that decision?
Well, let me say that it's partly due to young people psyching themselves up when they are young. I want to be this, I want to be that. And I wanted to be an engineer. So I knew that even if I was a teacher, I would end up an engineer. So it was young people, and that is why we have to give our children the opportunity to dream, to make up their minds what they want to do, and to try and achieve their dreams.
Okay, it's been like 12 years, out of the state house for you in EKITI State, and one wonders, what have you been doing, with yourself, around political circles, and of course, how would you describe the landscape of police activities in Ekiti State?
Well, I want to thank God. 12 years, I've been quite busy. Within the 12 years, I was National Vice Chairman for the Southwest in the PDP. So I was chairman, you can say I was chairman of the Southwest in PDP. I also was one of those people who started with the APC. I was Deputy National Chairman in charge of the South in APC. So I've been busy. I've stayed on with politics. I didn't go back to any of my passions, either teaching or chemical engineering.
Okay. You're taking a shot at governorship house, governor's house again. Now, how prepared are you for the daunting task? We know that a lot must have changed while you are going from the state house.
I must say that in 12 years, quite a lot has changed, but they were not what one could call impressive changes. And that is why people are saying the kind of things they are saying now. The people had not seen the kind of development they had expected to see. So there were changes, but whether the changes were positive was clearly debatable.
Okay, let's take a look at going to the state house if elected, sir. What are you going to do differently from what you did in 2007?
That's a difficult question for me to answer because a lot of things that I did, people said they were right. They said they were the right steps I took then. Therefore, if I said I want to do a complete set of different activities, I may be playing to the gallery and I may get it wrong. What I would say is that there are some things we were doing that the people hold dearly. We will continue with them. And those ones that we believe we should add, we will. Let me give you an example. In the health sector, we had a revolving drug system that was clearly the best around. We had to get it to be ISO certified, and one of the few public institutions in Nigeria to have an ISO certification. So in Ekiti, if you need a drug anywhere in the remotest part of Ekiti, and you get to the counter of the health institution and it's not available on their shelf, they will just call the central store, and we had some power bikes. Within 1.5 hours to 2 hours, they will land it where you are. So your waiting will not be more than 2 hours for that drug anywhere. And more than 90 times out of 20, you go back with your drugs. That, you will say, that's quite phenomenal. But we were delivering with power bikes. There were no drones. But now, we should be able to deliver with drones and, of course, power bikes.
So leveraging on technology to...
We will leverage on technology to improve what we are doing. So we should be able to deliver with drones and still keep power bikes. I have not been seeing the power bikes. I believe they must have either been sold or they had been jettisoned. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg to buy a power bike. We will still buy one or two. And of course, drone technology will take care of the rest.
Okay, sir, let's take a look at 2010, when we were removed by an appeal court judgment. Sir, would you say there have been some lessons learned and then you're building on, to make sure that things don't go the way it went in 2010?
I am one that cannot, up to now, that still cannot blame myself for what happened. Because I won elections fair and square twice. I won the election, I won the run. The first time, the judges said they ticked the accreditation sheet. Don't forget, election to governorship and election to House of Assembly are always being done together. And when you get there, they will tick. As you approach with your card, they will tick the accreditation sheet. They said accreditation sheets were ticked with red biro. And that was the basis of the judgment that sent me out. And I remembered something similar also happened in Lagos, the Agbaje versus Fashola. Jimmy Agbaje also petitioned against the red biro. I don't know where this red biro thing surfaced from, because I believe that the substitute for blue is not red, it's still black, but the red biro surfaced. And at the Court of Appeal in Lagos, it's the same Court of Appeal, they say, I am not a lawyer, but the same Court of Appeal in Lagos said that the ticking with red biro is not precisely what it should be, but it is not sufficient to affect the results of the elections. So they said the red biro does not matter. In the Agbaje versus Fashola, the red biro did not matter. In the Fayemi versus Uni, the red biro mattered. And they sent me out. So what do you want me to do? I just took it with, they said I should go and do a rerun. So I went and I did a rerun. At the rerun, well, the judges found a different type of faults, and I am not challenging their wisdom, and they said I should leave, and I left. That is it. Somebody said I should have done more protesting. I said, what do you want to protest in a judgment? A judgment is a judgment, even if, and it made me remember the late Dr. Nogurua of blessed memory. When we were small boys, that man almost convinced me to be a lawyer, because every Sunday he had a column in the then Sunday Times. Whenever there is a judgment, he will analyze it, he will dissect it.
The pages of newspaper.
In the pages of the newspaper, after the judgment has been delivered, not before it was delivered, and he would give his own points of view about the law and what he believes it should be. We can only give your opinion. Nobody is law. The law is the law. And I wish we still had the likes of Onogurua. That incident would have been better understood. Maybe better understood by me also, whether it's jurisprudence to batch colors and so on. Maybe I would have understood it better. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to blame myself. I don't want to say that there are things I should not have done. I won election fair and square. That's all I should have done. And I am not the one who supplied the biros to INEC. And I don't know how red even became a substitute for blue or black. I am not accusing anybody of conspiracy or whatever. But what happened, happened. And here I am. I thank God I'm alive.
All right, sir. We'll shed more light on the fact that You came to office in 2007 on the platform of PDP, and today you are in SDP. We will talk about that after this quick break. Please stay with us. I'm glad to know that you're still staying with us. It is still Democracy Watch, and I still have my guest here, former governor of EKITI State, Engineer OLUSEGUN. Sir, we were going to talk about, before we went on that break, the fact that you came on the, to State House on the platform of PDP, and today you are in SDP. What informed that decision?
Well, I would say that I'm one person who have traversed looking for real democracy. I don't allow myself to be satisfied with inadequacies. I believe that this is a problem of Nigeria that we all owe a responsibility to solve. There are quite a lot of politicians there wandering all over the place in search of real democracy. Unfortunately, our democracy is excellent, inter-party. People will talk about democracy and get listened to when it is party A versus party B. But when it is internal, within party A or within party B or within party C, we allow it to be buried. I believe that Nigeria needs to do more for internal democracy. The capacity to manage political parties themselves, I am not sure is anywhere near the levels it should be. But you see, arrogantly, people who manage will tell you we have managed. But you can see quite a lot of people are so dissatisfied, going back and forth, going back and forth. That is not what democracy should be. But unfortunately, we put in institutions that we did not also put in the proper support system. I believe that the intellectuals, especially in the university sector, can do a lot to help democracy, for us to be able to have the right training and background to run even political parties themselves. When I was deputy national chairman of the APC, one of the things we identified to do was to conduct a benchmark with ANC. ANC, I'm sure you know, is the oldest political party in Africa. And it has been on and on. We said, let us go to South Africa and invite them over, and let's compare notes. Let's find out what makes a political party and be able to fill in our own gaps with theirs. Unfortunately, that exercise did not happen. I don't know whether it has happened now, but I still believe we need such things. We need to have parties that will endure. Political parties, if they are really political parties, cannot be living on the whims and caprices of governors only, because you make governors to fund. Of course, you cannot prevent them from having a say, because they are the majority shareholders. That's what I always say in political parties. They are the majority shareholders. You can't prevent them from having their way. But should political parties be so independent or be so dependent that it cannot, even years after now, it cannot think of a way of fending for itself? So we were then trying to say, let's look at the revenue case and project what should this party need in terms of revenue, that it should be able to, people can bring in donations, but donations should not be the be all and end all of it. So we all owe democracy the responsibility of thinking out an alternative path. I believe that people in the various political parties now, especially people involved with managing at very high levels, will be seeing some of the things I'm saying. Let us make our parties real parties that will be able to stand the test of time, that will not be dependent on donors, but will have investments and revenue. If we must say, every time you make a call on MTN, you are contributing to ANC, because ANC is a major shareholder in MTN. They have shareholding in some mines and so on. So you can't, as president of South Africa, you can't call ANC and say, I want to see you tomorrow morning, and they will be shivering, because you will stop the revenue flow to them and you dry them off. Political parties should see themselves as entities that have a responsibility to survive.
Okay, sir. Let me just chip in. You talk about political parties that will endure. Now, what was the attraction in SDP? Can SDP actually fit into that description?
I believe it's not because I'm SDP that the alternative life for Nigeria now should be SDP.
Okay, sir. A while ago, just a few minutes ago, you did say something about APC, PDP, being the way you described them. Now, it's been said that there is a certain coalition that you're moving with. Part of this coalition from APC, PDP, and then like Swagger as well. Can you shed more light on that coalition?
No, we will not talk about any other organization, because we can only mention if there is need to mention. Because I don't want to take on the responsibility of their PRO. What I know is that we're talking different. Like I said, Nigeria needs alternative to in my own state, in EKITI state, people are tired. And that is why they have coined the terminology EKITI Koya, Otoge. EKITI is refused suffering. Now, enough is enough.
So any other party will do in EKITI state?
Yeah, that's what the SDP slogan is in EKITI state. EKITI Koya, Otoge, because they have seen that these people are only visiting sufferings on the people. The two parties, they have seen that what they get out of those two parties continue to be what they get, which is inadequacies and sufferings.
Now, in this part of the world, it's often said that governance is quite expensive. Now, if elected, how are you going to address this? Are there plans to ensure that you minimize the cost of governance in EKITI state?
We governed EKITI state before, and there was still enough to be spent on infrastructure. I constructed more roads than anybody in the history of that state. I'm sure you said you went there, so you would have seen. We spent money on water infrastructure, and water was beginning to flow. I remembered one instance. In the morning, our father, the late Honorable Justice Olatawura, came all the way from Ikoli to Ado. I was surprised. He didn't tell me he was coming. And when he came, I rushed to receive him. And I said, Baba, we have seen you. He said, yes, Shegun. I have come to thank you. That water flowed in his house of many decades this morning. Said I took my bath with water from the taps this morning. And I said, let me go and announce to you that your work is beginning to show. And you can imagine, I was so elated. So, there are a lot that we can do for the people. we can make their infrastructure work, and so not just taking loans and taking. After I left, they are taking World Bank loan for electricity, for water that you cannot find, even now. And I didn't need a loan to put water on in Ekiti, and water was already on, and the reticulation was being improved, and we were sure we had set a target of at least any time T, that at least 80–85% of Ekiti must be serviced by water from the network. Anytime T then, and we were working on it. So people had expectations, and genuinely they should have expectations. The expectations are not being met by their governments, and therefore that will lead them to disappointment and frustration. People are operating from the platform of disappointment and frustrations now, and that's why you hear all this Otoge, Ekitikoya, Otoge. In fact, people can be nearly militant when they say it, and we keep telling them, don't worry, help is around the corner.
So you are the viable alternative that they actually desire?
I believe so.
You believe so, sir? Okay. We'll talk about security situation in this country after this short break, sir. So, viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Many thanks for still being there for us. Now, Your Excellency, sir, insecurity is a major concern in this part of the world. That's Nigeria. And what with the recent train attack along the Abuja-Kaduna road, and a lot of people are really concerned because there seem to be new phases, of insecurity coming up every day. So, what you take? How do you think we need to secure this country?
Well, I'm not an expert, but I believe government should apply itself more. If government lacks the wherewithal, they should bring in external experts to study the situation and advise us. It is very disgraceful that we have, around the same time that we had the train incident, 2 of it, we even had an incursion into the airport, and maybe now, if nothing is done, that may be a direction they will be looking at more. We are so traumatized as a people, and we have a government. That's what the government should do. The responsibility for securing us should lie with our government, and there is no excuse. I expect government to have come up with a strongly worded apology to Nigerians to say, yes, it appears we have failed you. We will take steps to redeem if they can, and so on. Train. They started with the road transportation. Virtually everybody was running away from the Kaduna-Abuja road. And then the train came and people were saying, oh, thank God, the train has come. Shouldn't we have built a scenario to say, if in any situation the train itself is attacked, how do we go about it? It should just be a plug and play. I expect even military scholars in NDA and so on, joint military operations, to have rehearsed and now got the right model to say if anything happens, how long will it take us to reach every part of that rail line, what is the fastest way to move, and what are we going to do? It should not be something that will happen and we will now be wondering why did it happen.
You want the best in news, info